Hello friends of the channel, VisionCrypto. My name is Arian, and on my channel it's all about the topic of crypto and chart analysis and is explained as simply as possible. As expected, the markets are showing quite a bit of volatility then after all these tariffs that Trump has now imposed, and at the moment all prices are essentially selling off. And that's why in today's video, I want to go through all my coins with you again, which I analyze 3 times a week, and we'll simply see if anything has fundamentally changed in the structure, or if we still have to expect further significant sell-offs. Before I start, I really want to say once again, due to the last video I uploaded, thank you very much. Thank you for so much approval, for so many nice and heartfelt comments. And also a warm welcome to all the new subscribers who have now joined my channel. I warmly welcome everyone and truly thank you for your incredibly great support. And of course, I would be delighted if today's video receives the same response. That means you hit the like button again, leave me a comment, preferably with 7 words or more to stimulate the algorithm so that the video is shown to many. And if you are new to my channel, I would of course be happy if you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of my videos in the future. We want to start fundamentally with Bitcoin because the question arises, are we going to continue selling off, or are we just in a minor correction and will manage to set new all-time highs again? Fundamentally, an upward movement consists of 5 waves, which we have theoretically already reached with Bitcoin. But there is still the possibility of another high. We have here a wave 1 of 2, 3, 4, and a wave 5, which the price should extend. However, it is the case that this small movement here after wave 3 is technically also a 5-part upward movement and could also be a standalone wave 5, which then turns out to be extremely flat. This is also what I repeatedly say in my videos, that wave 5s are very unpredictable, as they can sometimes be very, very flat, but can also overshoot. And it is quite possible that we have now found our top and are now entering the bear market. Of course, I can reassure everyone, I will briefly touch on that in a moment. There won't be a bear market now, and if this is already the bear market, where the price falls straight down until we reach a low. No, the price will also have intermittent recoveries. I would like to address in a separate video how such a bear market, if it is already here, could look in terms of its progression. So just for that reason, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the video, because it is very, very important. Or the alternative is that we are only in a wave 4. I'll make this larger now. And the situation is such that from a rule-based perspective, up to a price of $75,600 nothing has actually happened. Because until then, a price can also fall without any issues, to then embark on a wave 5. The only disadvantage is the deeper the price falls, the lower the targets on for a potential wave 5 also drop. If the price falls below $75,630, anyone who has a subscription to Bitcoin, where it is analyzed 3 times a week, will of course be informed sooner than with these videos that I publish here on YouTube. You can feel free to check it out in the video description. Then we are in a gray area where one might say, okay, the regular price target for wave 4 has now been undershot, but that can happen sometimes. That's why this area is already marked in red, where one should keep a close eye, should focus on the course and shift the probabilities, but only when we drop below $69,465 can we say we are formally in a bear market. This downward structure currently still looks to me like this wave 4 in a trend channel, where the price can't quite decide whether it wants to go up or down, and after that the next rise came. And I could of course be mistaken, but to me it still looks more like a trend channel at the moment, because even if I extend this here, you can clearly see that the price is holding at this upper edge and also at the lower edge. And now it's nicely working its way down here. That's why I want to say, I mean, to be honest, I don't know either. I can only say if then. So if the price stays above here, then there will be a wave 5. If the price falls down here, then we are in a real bear market. And to me, it still looks like wave 4 at the moment. And that's why I'm not completely relaxed. Definitely not, because there's a certain dynamic we're experiencing right now. But I still have a certain residual hope that we could experience another rise, which of course doesn't have to happen. And as I said, the next video from me, or one of the next videos, then we'll discuss what such a course of action could look like until we run down here to our target of the correction in the bear market, where price targets as low as $23,500 US are actually possible. Of course, it could be less, but the course actually allows for us to fall further. Well, that should be the preliminary assessment for Bitcoin as a starting point. Then let's move on to Cardano. With Cardano, it's the case that it is also showing significant weakness again, because the original plan would have been that we already have 3 waves upwards here. We expand a wave 4 here and then rise upwards to deliver really good performance again. But even there, I need to briefly elaborate to clarify or highlight it better. Here too, with wave 4, which should have only reached up to the 0.5 Fibonacci level, we have come down significantly and have already entered this red-gray zone and even broke through it downwards once. But since it was only a wick, it can be disregarded at the moment. This means if Cardano manages to reverse the trend here and we don't dip back into this highlighted area, I still see chances that we could develop a wave 3, 4, and maybe even a wave 5. However, I have removed the price targets from the chart for now because we should work our way up step by step. And I don't want to give anyone false hopes for any prices, Mao, when the chart doesn't really look that bullish. And the more likely scenario for me would be that we have developed a wave A through this A, B, C structure on a larger scale. We'll make this a bit larger as well. And now we are moving down into a wave B. In this case, the price target is not quite as relevant because wave B waves do not have a fixed price target. We could certainly go further down. I would be less concerned about that because this wave B is also formed in 3 parts, in a wave A, B, and C. So I could very well imagine that this could still happen. And we would then experience another rise into the E wave. C, the price target. For this wave C, Preis is not yet clearly measurable because we first need the low of wave B. We don't have that yet, but as of now it should roughly take place here in the price region, like this orange line, at around $2.20. But I'll keep you updated on that as well. And for those who book the Cardano analysis 3 times a week, a written update for only €5 a month, also monthly C, windproof. Of course, it also learns in advance where there is a price stop and when we could move upwards. And bearishly, it is indeed possible that we have completed this overarching wave 3 and are now actually heading into the bear market. And in the worst case, price targets of even 4.5 cents would be possible. I'm not saying that it has to happen this way, but one shouldn't be surprised if it does. And then the whole thing would have been just a so-called bear market rally, because then this wave 2, which we had developed here in the bear market at $22 would slide back here, and we could then dare the next entry from back here. So this cannot be ruled out, because even here the price would have had room up to the 0.7 Fibonacci, and we only just barely approached wave 2 at the 0.5 Fibonacci, even a tick higher. So I see these three scenarios, although for me it's more or less only two scenarios, because the white count would involve a lot of wishful thinking if the price could still make such a rapid turnaround. Then we come to Polkadot. Yes, with Polkadot, it's the disappointment of the bull market for me, so to speak, as I am also heavily invested. By now, I must say, unfortunately, with Polkadot, because it has been moving in a price range since March, since May 2022, where it finds resistance at the upper edge at $11.89 and support at the lower edge at $3.55. And the probability that we will continue to move within this price range is there. The only question is, will we eventually break through this X price range, either upwards or downwards? And for me, there are two scenarios. Scenario one, in the white count, is that we go up again here, that we have practically developed a wave A since the bear market low, then an A, B, C, to the overarching wave 2, and we run up again into a wave 3, where this price target lies between $14 and a maximum of $30, although I would find $20 more realistic, because Polka really couldn't develop any bullish momentum there. Also, this first movement was essentially only three-part, which is not a sign of strength. And the other variant is that after the bull market high, we moved down into a wave 1 in an A, B, C structure, moved into a wave 2, and we are practically in a 5-part movement downwards in a wave 3, 4 and 5. And in this case, wave 2 to 3 would again be formed in a 3-part, 5-part manner. And in this case, you would practically have a wave 1, a wave 2, 3, 4, and 5 going downwards. And this would be the yellow count, where we would have the chance to experience another rise, which could bring us into a price range between $6.55 and $7.51, where perhaps some might still get out of the course with just a close call or even a slight profit. However, this price target here is not yet guaranteed, because if the price continues to fall, these price targets will also decrease further. After that, we come to Chainlink. With Chainlink, it's such that we can no longer assume the very bullish momentum as would have been possible at the beginning of the bull market. Here we have the possibility that the price, after this 3-part rise, moves down into a wave 2, and from here wants to make another rise into waves 3, 4, and 5. Overarching wave C, where we have price targets of approximately $60 again. But it is also very possible that after this wave, Vechain us in white, we are now rushing downwards in a 5-part movement. That would also be possible, because then we would already have a wave 1, 2 here. Then this would be wave 3, wave 4, and wave 5, where in the worst case, we would establish a new bear market low here again. This would also mean that it would have just been another bear market rally, where if we are down here in alternative 2, meaning this 2 would also have to be shifted back, we would then have the chance to start a new rally from there. New viewers keep coming to my channel, and also crypto newcomers, I would say, and the question always arises, which exchange should I use? Where do I invest my money? Where do I want to trade? And you have probably noticed that due to the MyCA regulation, there are more and more exchanges where you have a very large bureaucratic effort to register. You have to send proof of income, identify your ID card. And for those who don't want to do all that because they just want to try it out or say they have no interest in all the bureaucracy, I can only recommend CoinX. This is an exchange that has been on the market as long as Binance, the largest exchange there is, so for 7 years now, but it has been more active in the Asian market. And I can only warmly recommend that you register there because you only need to provide a password and an email address. No further identifications or documents are necessary, and you can start trading there relatively quickly without any problems. There is also the possibility to bring euro amounts to the exchange relatively easily and very promptly, where you can then trade in USDC. Definitely take a look at it. I've been using it myself for over 2 years. There have never been any problems. It's just important that you also use software to document your transactions for the tax office. And take a look at coin tracking. There's also a link in the video description below. Both should be used as a package. That's how I do it at least. It would be recommended. And thirdly, and then it's really all good. Users, take a look at a crypto wallet, specifically the Tangem wallet in credit card format. It's very competitively priced, can hold an incredible number of coins, and I think it's a great thing and very discreet. Yes. Then we move on to XRP. The price actually looks twice the best among all the prices, as we are still, so to speak, in wave 3 here and still need to dip down into wave 4, where we have only dipped very, very briefly. So it's possible that we might dip further down into the price again. We would have room up to $1.19 and then move into a wave 5 movement. I must say, even though the price looks very, very good right now, it was the same with SUI, where I recently said the price looks very good, but it has since moved down here. We'll get to that in a moment, as it has moved down into the lower area of the trend reversal zone. And there is now the risk that the price could indeed sell off. Therefore, even if the price looks good right now, it doesn't mean that it can't change. But as of now, XRP has very good prospects compared to many other coins. Next, we come to Vechain. With Vechain, it is also not developing as I had imagined. There is also the possibility that the price could turn again after its further downward movement, which has been dragging on here for ages, and that one low after another is being extended. I follow this very closely in my analyses and provide an update 3 times a week on how the wave movements currently look. From a bullish perspective, there is the possibility that we could reach a price of around 12 cents again. But it is equally possible that we are only making an interim correction where the price target could be between 4 and roughly maybe 6 before the price then continues to sell off downward. Yes, exactly. I would like to add that the first wave downward does not have a fixed price target as well as the wave B. Therefore, it is also not clearly defined where the journey will ultimately go before we can turn around again. If we turn, then it is certainly a very good setup that one could trade, because in both cases the price must definitely rise at some point, and therefore a closely monitored long position could make sense if at some point we have found the bottom where one might be able to take some profit even in a bear market. With Algorand, you now see a lot of lines. I will shed light on the darkness for you. I had already mentioned in August, September of last year that the bullish scenario drawn in orange is very, very unlikely. And if we should turn within the red area here, the likelihood of a sell-off is very, very high, which also happened. There is a remaining hope that this whole thing here with the 3-part move upwards was a larger wave A, and we are now moving down into a wave B and will recover once more in a wave C before it continues downward. But it is quite possible that this is already the direct sell-off. And it is very possible that we have already developed a wave 1 and 2 here are now in wave 3, then a wave 4, and then another wave 5 downward before the price practically sets a new low, again from what we had in August. and September of the year before last. From a bullish perspective, it would be the case if we see the next rise here in the yellow count, meaning that this is only a wave B, which is also possible because at the moment we only have 3 movements downward. 1, 2, 3. Then there would be another wave C upwards, and if wave C manages to do so, and I've been saying this for months, to get above $81.75, then the doors open for higher prices. If the price doesn't manage to do that, then there will definitely be another sell-off. Then we come to SEI. As for SEI, it has been in a consistent sell-off, and since in December, I was also able to take a pretty good short position there. And I published this in my Discord group that I entered a short position there. Basically, we have this 2 scenarios, 1 bearish and 2 bullish. The bearish scenario, which I have now newly added to the chart, would mean that we have formed a top here overall, now going into a wave 1, a wave 2, then rushing down here a wave 3, 4, and 5, and then setting another really significant low point before we would presumably have the chance to rise again in the next bull run. And the 2 rather bullish scenarios would mean that this is either an overarching wave B here and we can move upwards into a wave C. There we would have a price of $1.54. As of now, we need to see how far wave B goes down. An even more bullish would be if we had prices stay up to almost $10, but that is really just wishful thinking, and I would absolutely not rely on it, because as you can see, a SEI is in such a downward spiral, so it hasn't been able to set a higher high, and therefore dreaming of such prices, I would currently keep my distance from that and instead be pleased if we actually manage to come up here again and maybe a bit beyond that. But while that is technically possible, in my eyes it is rather unlikely. Then we come to the T3. I had already mentioned with XRP that this is a course that looked good for a long time. We were only in here and then went back up. And now, as you can see, we have already briefly entered this red area. Yes. Now the question arises after this wave 4. If it is indeed a wave 4, it could just as well be an A, B, C formation here. And we might already be heading downwards from here again. Then we would have the possibility that this is a wave C. Then we would come to a halt in this price area. As you can see, we are also in it or have been in it. And if it turns out to be more bullish, then those would be prices above the 1.6 Fibonacci, meaning we would be over $8.52. And if this has already been the top, the Alt C, then we would now be more or less in the sell-off, which should proceed in 5 parts again, and we would find a new low of under 37 cents. It looks very similar with GLQ. We would have a price area here where we should turn. That means, at the latest, we should turn at 1 cent to make another attempt at wave 10. Where is the price now? It's at $1.35. If we turn earlier, it could push a bit higher. Or we have the bearish scenario where it is also the case that we would have built a top here, up here, and we have a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 while we are already in the bear market and should establish new low prices at approximately 0.1 cent minimum before we have the chance to rise again in the next bull market. Yes, Fetch.ai, a big disappointment, I must say, quite honestly. We had a lot of hopes after the merger, but for a long time, I was hopeful that we would end our sell-off here and move up again into a wave C, but I have since removed that from the chart. It looks much more like we are either already in the middle of the sell-off, and K in a wave 1, K, 2, K, 3, K, 4 and 5, K, or we still have the chance and that we have developed a wave 1 here, that we are moving into a wave 2 and then go up again into a wave 3, 4 and 5. That will probably depend a lot on Bitcoin, what it does now. If it really turns around again, then we might have a chance to rise once more, bear. But otherwise, it looks more like Fetch has already spent its powder. With Solana, yeah, it looks like we might have already reached the top of this bull run, because we have developed wave 3 here. This would currently be wave 4, where we haven't quite entered this trend reversal area, and that would be wave 5. If that's the case, it would be a weak wave 5, because we also didn't manage to reach the ideal target and would now already be in the sell-off to the bear market. Or we haven't completed wave 4 yet, but have only developed a wave A, B, and a wave C here. This means we are entering again, expanding wave 4 a bit deeper. Then I would also enter the price targets here again and start from there one last entry into a wave 5 before we should then transition down into the bear market from there. Next we come to the Quant. With Quant, we also have the situation where we are either expanding a wave B here, which means that we could still enter a wave C with a price target of approximately $240, which could still be reached. Those who want opium can also assume higher prices, but I find it very unlikely that this is the case, although it cannot be completely ruled out. That's why it remains on the chart. There we would have prices up to $800. Or, due to the fact that we are in a persistent downtrend here, it is quite possible that Quant has already served its purpose for this bull run, so to speak, and found its top here, already in October 22 at $226. And we are now selling off here in a 5-part movement and would definitely fall below the $40 from the last bear market again in that case. Finally, we come to CKB. With CKB, we also have two possibilities. The bearish scenario would be as follows, that we have already found a price top here in April 24, and that we are moving downwards in a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, placing us in a bear market, or that there is still the possibility that we have developed a wave A here and are moving downwards in a 3-part movement in a wave A, B, and C within a larger wave B, and then rise again into a wave C where the price target is not yet determined, as we do not yet know the bottom of wave B, and there is still some room to move into it. Yes, these are my analyses. You can book any course as an update 3 times a week on my Discord server for €5 a month. You can take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 courses, as many as you want, each for €5 a month plus tax. Now you can also book it via YouTube instead of Patreon for those who always found it too cumbersome. It also works via YouTube, but it's a bit more expensive because YouTube charges higher fees. But feel free to check it out. The link is below in the video description and also in the comments. And brand new, I am now also on Twitter. Very, very new. So if you want to be a kind of Star Hour child and a founding member, as the first to become a member or follow me, you can also feel free to check out this X or Twitter and support me there. Remember to give a thumbs up and subscribe. Check out CoinX, the Pwn coin tracking, to really document your transactions so that it fits for the tax office, and of course the Tangem wallet, which I also use myself. I hope today's video had some exciting information for you. Feel free to give the video a thumbs up, leave me a short comment or maybe just a little smiley. And I would like to point out that another exciting chart analysis awaits you in the end credits. I wish you a great time until the next video and goodbye.